Ready?
Hi, Coach.
Mark, just tell me when we're ready.
Yes, sir. I think we're ready to go. Please take it away.
Great. Had a really good practice today. They were upbeat. They had fun. I really think that they're getting to feel like this is more the norm, and we don't know how long we're going to have masks and shields and 6 feet apart, and all of the things that we're having to incorporate. So we told them, win the day. Just do the best that you can do today. Let me worry about all the stuff outside, and you take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health. You make sure you're doing well in the classroom. Most of our guys were online anyway, so yesterday's announcement doesn't change much for us. And at the same time, play football. There's going to be a time here where we'll be kicking it off against Syracuse, and you do not want to be the guy who wasn't prepared because you had so many distractions that you couldn't get yourself in the right position to do all this. We've tried to continue to over-communicate with COVID, with the state of college football, with everything that comes up. So every article that's written, positive or with concerns about the season, we bring it right to the players. And we read every one of them to them. We had a parent meeting last night on Zoom, and we had our doctor, our trainer, our Dwight Hoyer's director of wellness, our player personnel director. We had Rick Steinbacher. We had Corey Holliday. We had all of them on there for an hour with a presentation about who we are and what we're doing, and at the same time answering any questions. We will continue to test now once a week between now and the end of football season. I don't know what happens after that. I haven't been told. Probably our tests now are on Monday. Probably it sounds like as we get closer to game time, the test will be more likely to be on Wednesday or Thursday because they'll be closer to the game. And at first we were not getting our test back for 7 to 10 days. And that was really hurting us. And now we're getting tests back within 24 hours. So that's really helping us and can tell us exactly what's going on with each young student athlete. We're training a lot of guys at a number of different positions. For instance, Trey Morrison, we've told him he needs to learn 5 different positions in the secondary. So he's playing both safeties, the nickel, and both corners. And we feel like that with cross training, that'll help us create depth if we have some injuries and if you have some guys that are held out because of a positive test and you didn't have it, you didn't know it until like Thursday or Friday morning. Somebody tells you that a guy's out, you've got to be prepared to move forward. We're also working for the same reason. Chaz Surratt, some at defensive end to rush the passer on second long and third long. And that's because Kadri Diggs and Kadri Jackson and Eugene Asante are doing some really good things at linebacker. So we feel like that if Chaz can be a better pass rusher than one of our other pass rushers, we'll put him up in a pass rush position and play those other young guys at linebacker. And again, that's what we're talking about with depth. So I feel like overall, again, this was our best practice because they were upbeat, they had fun. I think they see that there's a great chance that we're going to play. And even yesterday with not going to classrooms, that helps us create a better shield around our program and a better bubble. The NBA model's working. They've had very few distractions, and that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that our players and our staff understand that we've got 3 months here where we cannot go outside for social reasons or to eat or anything else if we want to have a football season.
Okay, we're going to begin with Dennis Dodd. Dennis, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Mac, you hear me okay?
Yes.
This may not be your charge, but there will be those that will ask, if school is not being held on campus, why should football?
Yeah, that's not my charge. I got a lot on my plate, and that's not one of them.
Okay.
I was told we're moving forward.
Okay.
And most people, Dennis, were online anyway.
Yeah.
And we still got our graduate students going to class, but like I said, I'm excited that we're still moving forward.
Okay. Also, do you have a take? You know, the NCAA Council is probably going to make a decision on eligibility tomorrow. Scholarships are one thing, but eligibility is a different one. Do you have a take on that?
Dennis, I read about it enough. I feel like that we just need to do what's best for the young people at this time. And I hope that, so I hope they grant eligibility back. But at the same time, then I would hope that they would help the coaches with roster management, because if you, if a young guy was planning on graduating and you've already committed scholarships above that number, then we're going to need some help with relief, so we don't have to go back and tell some young person we can't bring you in, even though we promised him. So I think that's the double-sided part of this sword.
Do you have a number in mind of what you would need?
No, I really haven't, because it all just came up. Most of our guys are playing, and if they weren't, they had told us they were planning on graduating and leaving, so it wouldn't be a huge issue for us. But and this one over is too many, because then you've got to go back and tell someone that you've offered a scholarship that you can't take them, and that's not fair. And I really feel like in this time of COVID, we all have to be really generous to each other, and they need to help all these young people with the rules, but they also need to help athletic directors who are struggling, and chancellors. We need to give everybody the benefit of the doubt right now and just try to get through this. This is not normal. And it's I don't think we'll ever see another fall like this one again. So we've all talked about, it is what it is. Let's get through it. Let's make sure everybody comes out better on the other side. So let's help everybody get what they need. But to think that we can go by the norm or normal rules is just unheard of.
Great. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, we're going to go over to Andrea Adelson.
Mac, for doing this. As a follow-up to what Dennis asked, I'm just curious. The last month we've talked about what happens when students return to campus. That's going to be a big key. And now there's been clusters on your campus, and everything's going online. So, you know, my first question is, you know, what was your reaction to that when you saw that this was happening on your own campus? And are you still confident that we'll still get a football season at least kicked off?
Yeah, Andrea, number one, I am confident that we will play, and our people have moved forward with that thought. Number two, after watching this thing for 6 months, I'm a little surprised that people are surprised that students are going to have some positives. I mean, it's happening everywhere in the country, and the number I saw, nobody told me, but when you start looking at a cluster is 5 or more, there's going to be I look up and I see these universities with these students downtown on the strip, and there's hundreds of them that don't have masks and they're hanging out. Now, maybe they're not taking tests, and everybody on our campus I see is wearing a mask. So, and if we got 19,000 students and 150 have shown positives, I thought that was a rather low number for initially coming back. And I do think, Andrea, what I've learned is that when people have positives and there is publicity like we've gotten, now they'll be more careful, and it gets better faster than if you get comfortable with it. You cannot be comfortable with this virus because it'll jump up and grab you. You've got to wear your mask, and you need to stay around people that are wearing a mask, and you've got to wash your hands. And our players have understood that now, and they're doing really well with it. Students coming back, this is all new for them. And you can tell somebody all you want to wear the mask and wash their hands, but until they get sick or have a friend get sick, it's probably not going to hit them as easily as it does after it becomes reality.
Okay, thanks, Andrea. Next up is David Teal.
Mac, you mentioned in your opening that at the start you were having a multi-day wait on tests, and now it's more in the 24-hour range. What happened to change that? Did you all change labs, or what transpired?
David, the doctors would have to answer that for you. I've tried to stay out of the medical stuff completely because my plate's been kind of full. I think we did. And also, this thing has changed so much. So at the beginning, everybody was trying to figure out, how do you test, and often do you test, and who can get a test, and where can they get their tests. And I think it's all settling down now. We're understanding better what happens. And we also knew that we couldn't play during the season with a 10-day delay, a 7-day delay. We can't do it. So when the ACC protocols came out, medical protocols came out, but it was very clear to us that we were going to have to make sure that we got ourselves put in a better position. But maybe Jeremy can get you an answer to that question better than me.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Okay, next up, Aaron Beard.
Hey, Mac, I wanted to ask you about the cross training you were talking about between positions. I feel like I've heard you talk about that before in the past. So I guess, how much have you done it previously versus maybe how much more are you doing it now to possibly deal with a COVID issue with a player later?
Aaron, we've always done it when we didn't have a lot of depth. And because it's really important you get your best 11 players on the field. And if 3 of your corners are better than your safeties, then you need to be able to put one of the best corner at safety because you can get a better player on the field. So what we're trying to do right now is get the initial 11 on the field and then have the ability with cross training to get the best 15 and then maybe the best 17. And Trey Morrison needs to be playing somewhere. And if we have a corner that's really good and Trey's really good and Trey's better than one of our safeties, then it's very, very easy decision to move Trey inside. And the same with Jazz. Jazz is a great pass rusher. We want him at linebacker. We want him playing all over the field so he can make a lot of plays instead of being at an end. But in second long situations, third and long situations, he'd be really hard to block.
Right. And to follow up, and just how important is that going to be, assuming we get to a season and go forward and, somebody test positive, to have a couple of guys that can slide over maybe more than in the past to deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's more important than ever. There's a few things that COVID has brought out. Your player leadership is more important than ever. It's always important, but right now the positives are happening away from your program, by and large. So we've got to have leaders that will say, put your mask on, spread out while we're not there. And that's very important. And the second thing is creating depth. And the best way to do that with your best players is to cross-train.
Thanks, Mac.
Thank you.
Okay, over to Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, staying on the cross-training, regarding Chaz, you said defenseman. Is that hybrid outside linebacker position, or can you clarify that a little bit more?
Yeah, Jay's just looking at it to see how many different ways that he can get him to the quarterback. We did it with Strobridge last year in different ways. He played end, he played tackle. We tried to pit him against the weaker offensive lineman or put him on a back any time that we possibly could. And I'm trying to help you guys because I went back the other night and watched all your interviews with the players, and all you asked them was, who's playing safety? Who's back there with you? Who's at corner now? How does this guy look? How does he look? So I'm trying to give you a little more information.
Last time we talked to you, you said that you want to have 10 offensive linemen, but I guess you guys would settle for 8. How much are you moving guys around the offensive line to kind of meet your cross-training mission with the other players, with the other positions?
A whole lot. Easy's playing both guards and both tackles. Marcus McKeithen is playing guard and tackle. So we're just moving guys around. Jonathan Adorno has played center and tackle. So we're looking at a lot of different in different positions just so we can try to figure out who's best and then who would play if somebody else came out or got hurt. We're working Wyatt Tanall at center some as well. So we're moving guys and looking at a lot of different things. One of the blessings for us having a little bit longer opportunity to practice here, because our game was moved back a week, is that we're able to look at a lot of these young guys at different spots too. So it's been, this is our 10th practice, and we're pretty much at a position where we would be coming in, getting ready for our Syracuse game in 29 days. But because we were here for 10 days, a couple of weeks early, we've been able to get a lot of work done that we probably would have done in spring practice. So this has really been healthy work for us.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, over to Mark Armstrong, please.
Yeah, hey, Mac, I think it's fair to say there's a lot of anger amongst the regular student body, and the Daily Tar Heel had a very colorful headline yesterday that got a lot of attention. Have you seen any of that reflected in your team about the way this was rolled out with the regular students coming back to campus, or any just general concern about that?
No, Mark, again, most of our guys were online anyway, and they also are so focused on football, and that's what we're trying to do, is let us handle all the stuff outside of your classroom and your football and your personal health. So we feel like it's better for them mentally to, we've kind of told them, win the day. Just get up every morning and do the best that you can do with your schoolwork, do the best that you can do for your mental health, and let us know if you need any help in any way, and then let's go have a great practice, and let's worry about what we can control and let the rest of the stuff just take care of itself.
Just kind of as a follow-up, is this kind of driving home just how fundamentally different the experience of a football player is in university than a regular student, perhaps?
Mark, again, I put absolutely no thought into that. So there's obviously a big difference. And our guys they feel safe. They've got doctors, they've got trainers, they've got nutritionists, they've got coaches, they've got people around them at all time, and we're talking to them and counseling them at all time. And like I said, we're reaching out to their parents, and it's easier to do that with 120 guys than it is 19,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Matt Harris.
Coach, appreciate your time. You mentioned having the Zoom interview with parents. Just wondering, have you had to do more reassuring with the cluster outbreaks with players, or was it more reassuring the parents?
Matt, we really haven't had an issue with either. I kept asking the players, do your parents need to hear from us? They kept saying no. They kept saying no. And then finally last week, I said, you know what? They shouldn't be speaking for the parents. We need to talk to the parents. So we felt like it was really, really healthy last night just to have all the parents on that had any questions, or if they didn't, just to listen. I got on at the beginning and welcomed the parents and told them what we were going to do. And then I got off because I did not want a parent feeling uncomfortable asking maybe a sensitive question in their minds that they might feel like I would not want their son to play if they were worried about something. So I got off completely and I just asked the people that were hosting the Zoom meeting last night, how'd it go? And is there anything I need to answer for anybody else? And they said, no, it went great. I didn't ask the questions. And then we also told them, here's an email that if you didn't want to ask questions in front of the other parents, or if you didn't get the answer that you felt comfortable with, here's an email to call and get any information that you need. And we would get that person who gets the email to get a call back to the parents from whoever, the doctor, the trainer, the nutritionist, whoever that might be.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, we're going to go over to Brennan Marks.
Hey, Mac. Thanks so much for taking the time this morning. You mentioned how you already have a number of guys they're mostly doing online, but this will still obviously create a better seal, I think you mentioned as well, for you guys. Logistically, beyond not going into classrooms anymore, what does this change? Why does this make it a better seal, I guess? Could you expand on that a little bit more?
Well, I think that's probably the only reason that there'll be fewer people on campus and our guys will not be in the classroom. They'll be and they're already used to this because they had it in the spring and they had it both semesters of summer school. So for our guys, sadly enough, this is more the norm right now than it would have been going into the classrooms. And I thought that Chancellor Gustowicz did a great job in the classrooms from listening to our guys. They felt safe in the classroom. The doors were open. They had sanitizers there. There were very few people in the classrooms anyway. Maybe they were a third full. And at the same time, everybody was wearing masks. The professor was wearing the mask. And I went to most of our players that were in a class and said, do you feel comfortable? And they all said yes. And we were even told that the players that were going to a class, if they didn't feel comfortable going to a class, they had a right to call the professor and ask if they could do it online, even before yesterday. So I don't think yesterday affects us much in any way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right. Next up is Ross Martin.
Hey, Mac, how are your special teams looking? Can you provide some insight on kicker and their two returners?
Yeah, Ross, we're much faster. We're a much faster team than we were this time last year, just overall. And that's a credit to the coaches in recruiting. And when you're faster and you have more depth, that's going to show up on special teams probably first. So I really feel good that watching our special teams that we have a chance to make a difference in games. Last year we didn't, and now we do. And you've got Noah Ruggles and Grayson Atkins, and Grayson's really got a strong leg. You've got Ben Kiernan and you've got Jonathan Kim that are both of them are putting and doing a good job punting. And we've got really fast returners. We've all been very impressed with Josh Downs. He's so quick and he can fly. So he will help Daz and Toe Groves in that return game. And then you've got Michael Carter and we've got some other backs now that are fast that we can put back there with Michael too. So I do feel like that last year our special teams were middle of the pack, that we have a chance to be really good. And I'm also very impressed with the knowledge that Javon DeWitt has brought to our special teams from Nebraska. He's doing a great job with the drills, and the kids are learning a lot.
Is there any separation between Ruggles and Atkins right now?
They're both doing a really good job, and that's the beauty of competition. I remember reading once that our legendary coach at UCLA, which we all love, Coach Wooden always said, the bench is my best friend. It's my best motivator. And there's no question that when you've got competition, it's easier to coach. And right now we're having a lot of competition at every position. And I think that's why the practices are so spirited and the guys are really getting after it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
Okay, we're going to move over to Art Chansky.
Mac, is it just the way the Zoom works, or is your hair even grayer now than it was before the season started?
I don't know that it can get much grayer than it is, but you remember me when it was actually dark, so
I do.
It is gray.
Look, I know this isn't your lane, or maybe it's not, but the next big test or the next big hurdle is going to be when you play a game against another team, or you have to go to another place and so forth. In talking to Bubba, is the ACC all together on this? I mean, if one team can't play anymore, is the whole conference schedule going to go, or is it game to game? If you face an opponent that's got a lot of positives and you have to postpone that game, do you have any feel for how that's going to work?
I really don't. I think that would be more Commissioner Swafford. I think you'd have to call John and ask him, because it hasn't been discussed. And I think most people feel like with the medical protocol from the ACC that they feel like that by and large that we're going to have safe teams and healthy teams, because everybody has to do exactly the same. And as I said, we're going to be testing our guys. We're going to test them every week. And if they'll do what they're supposed to do, and they have to do that, then I feel like that we can have a safe year.
Do you think, though, the unknown is playing against another team that brings on a different history to the field?
I don't, Art, because they've got to go by the same rules we do. And I trust doctors. They're not going to put in, and I trust coaches. I know coaches are competitive and want to win, but none of us are going to put a young guy on the field that's not safe for him or for the opponent. So I feel really, really good that everybody in the ACC understands the rules. They understand the safety precautions, and that they're going to do what they're supposed to do to make sure that there's healthy kids play.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Art.
We're going to go back over to Mark Armstrong.
Matt, kind of in a similar vein, it's such a cutthroat industry normally, but are you seeing a sense of collectivism now, maybe more so? Are you speaking to any other coaches about how their processes are going along with making it towards the season?
Mart, it's a great point, Mark, and it's right on. I mean, we had heavy Zoom meetings every week for maybe 3 or 4 months, and we actually started liking each other. There was a lot of fun, poke back and forth at each other, but we also were able to share what safety precautions that we were all using. And I pick up the phone a lot, and I had a coach call me yesterday and say, we're getting ready to start. You've had 10 days, 9 days. Tell me what to expect. Tell me what you've done differently. Tell me how practice looks differently than it did before. But just like in one of the meetings, Dabo Sweeney said, we've got a 6-foot stick, and we hold it out to make sure everybody understands what's 6 feet apart. I wrote it down. I was texting our equipment manager while we were sitting in the meeting, saying, get us a stick. I want a bunch of sticks by tomorrow. And I didn't want orange sticks. I wanted Carolina blue sticks. So we got Carolina blue sticks the next day, and we were out there, and it really, really helped us. So I do think, Mark, that everybody wants to play. We can see. And all of us are trying to make sure that we do what's best for the safety of these young people. So I've never seen coaches reaching out to each other and trying to help each other more than now.
And this is kind of an out of left field, not even a follow-up, but more on the testing. Have you heard, and this is probably not your department again, but have you heard anything about the new saliva testing they're talking about with Yale and the NBA and how there's a lot of excitement about that?
Yes, Mark, and I heard enough about it that I like it. They stuck that swab all the way down my nose. I thought it hit the back of my skull when we're taking our test. So I did tell our trainers and our doctors that I would rather spit in the cup if we have a choice. So hopefully that will help us all at some point here. I'm not sure where it is or how fast it's moving or when it might be available, but to use lava to be tested and get it back so quickly might save a lot of lives, and that's something that we can all hope for very quickly.
Great. Well, I think that was our last question in the queue, Coach. So I think we've wrapped up for the day. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, folks. Have a safe day.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Bye.